And look, finally, vintage vitriol today from former Prime Minister Paul Keating at the National Press Club. But this time it was mostly directed at his own people and his Labor successor, Anthony Albanese, ministers like Miles and Wong, for yesterday's AUKUS announcement and what he called the worst decision any Labor government has ever made.
Let me just make this point. Running around the Pacific Islands with a lei around your neck handing out money, which is what Penny does, is not foreign policy. It's a consular task, fundamentally. Foreign policy is what you do with the great powers, what you do with China, what you do with the United States. This government, the Albanese government, does not employ foreign policy. There's no mandate inside the Labor Party, no mandate for what Prime Minister Albanese, Foreign Minister Penny Wong and Richard Marles are doing. No mandate.
Now, accompanying his spray was a 9-page written statement from Keating. He didn't miss, arguing that China's massive military build-up is entirely defensive and that Australia has made itself a target by not distancing us from the United States. I don't see how he can regard China as an entirely defensive power and at the same time say that being a US ally exposes us to attack. I mean, does anyone seriously think that the US, let alone Australia, might preemptively attack China? But Keating makes two fundamental mistakes in his spray today. First, he doesn't seem to mention that China routinely threatens to take Taiwan by force, a practically independent, democratic country of nearly 25 million people, and that the Chinese leadership routinely declares its intention to be the world's #1 superpower within 30 years. But second, he seems to think that the defence of Australia begins about 500 k's north of Darwin, even though it's a world system of rules-based order that sustains our freedom, not just the absence of enemy troops on our northern border. As a nation, we went to war in 1914 and again in 1939 to protect a wider world in which the freedom and independence of other countries mattered. How can we be indifferent to the fate of Taiwan, for instance, and not then expect others to be indifferent to our own fate? And we know from the 14 demands that China publicly issued in late 2020, we accept all Chinese investment, you'll recall this, that we admit all Chinese students, that we avoid all criticism of China, and that our fate would be as a Chinese mine and farm in any future world dominated by China. Those list of demands, that's hardly something any self-respecting Australian would endure. But listening to Keating in full attack mode today, I wondered aloud, where was his self-respect as well?